All right, my name is Mr. Jern, and I am going to talk to you about the engineering notebook, a very important part of any Project Lead the Way class, and specifically for my class, for your class, Principles of Engineering. So I'm going to cover all these topics. This is it's just the introduction to the engineering notebook. So what do you need to know, and what are some best practices? So first of all, what is an engineering notebook? It's as you can see here, it's a book in which an engineer formally documents in chronological order all of his or her work that's associated with any project that you're going to be doing. It is going to be very clear, very detailed, and it's meant for anybody to pick up and be able to read. It's something that you can go back and look at days or years later and know exactly what's going on. And importantly, somebody unfamiliar with the work that you're doing can open up your engineering notebook and basically take over the project without any problem. Why do we keep it? Well, an engineering notebook, believe it or not, is recognized as a legal document. It's used to patent activities, and it basically is proof of an origin of an idea that led to a solution. So if you ever need to say, no, I'm the one that thought of that, there's your proof in your engineering notebook. It proves when events or ideas occurred, because you're going to be taking very detailed notes in there and dating them and signing them. It's going to prove the diligence in turning an idea into a solution. So diligence just means that you followed all the proper procedures. You didn't just like wake up one day and say, hey, I had this idea and I had it all fully fleshed out. No, there's always a process, and you're going to record that process in your engineering notebook. It's because the dates are in there. It takes the process, and it really just sort of breaks down when everything occurred, and it makes it just is very good evidence that you thought through this idea and came up with a solution. So who uses an engineering notebook? Well, engineers a lot of people use engineering notebooks. They might call it different things in different fields, but specifically engineers that work on research and development. Again, it's a legal document of their work. It helps with continuity of their projects. So just pick up and continue. It definitely improves research, documentation, and communication skills. Because if you can explain everything about a project, if you have everything written down and recorded, you can go back and explain any part of the process. So, anytime you need to present something, just go back and refer to your engineering notebook, and you'll have everything you need there, everything that happened. So as students, if you go to college for this and you continue engineering, you're definitely going to be using one. And an important hidden thing about this is it really helps you develop your time management skills, which is not something that comes naturally to most of us. By just taking the time to write everything down and planning and everything, you could just manage your time more effectively. All right, so what's in the engineering notebook? All this stuff, okay? Everything you can do, everything you do or think about, ideas, pictures, thoughts, brainstorming sessions, everything, calculations goes in this engineering notebook. So anything relating to a project at all, even if it seems insignificant or trivial or is just a stepping stone to the next thing. So we're going to divide our engineering notebook into several sections, and this may get tweaked in the class. We'll see how it goes, but the general sections are the title page, table of contents. Again, it's all about organization. Your general chronological entries. So what order, did you put them in? Any references and any contacts that you make in regard to your projects. So your standard page layout. Now, you may use a Project Lead the Way engineering notebook. You may use a composition book, but it should definitely have a grid pattern. It just makes everything easier or more professional looking when you're able to use the grid. It helps with drawing and just organizing your notebook. So we're going to use quad ruled paper, just the grid paper. All your pages are going to be numbered. All the pages are going to be dated as you fill them in. Your pages should be signed by the designer. you probably, your team, and then signed by a witness. So there's an example right there on the screen. Make sure that you include a statement of the proprietary nature of the notebook. So this is my notebook, I mean, basically what does this notebook have to do with anything? So some best practices in your engineering notebook. And some of these are contrary to what maybe a perfectionist or somebody who doesn't like to show their mistakes may want to do. So just pay attention. All work is in pen. All work is in pen. It's because you're not going to erase anything. I'll get to that in a second. Avoid anything that bleeds through to the other side. That's just messy and sloppy and makes things kind of difficult to read. You're going to want to make sure that you have the pages numbered in ink on the top outside edge, and I'll get more specific about that. The notebooks are bound, meaning that you cannot add pages, you cannot remove pages. So any kind of loose leaf, anything that you can just rip out pages, tear out them, is not going to work. So we'll talk about that again more specifically later. Now, more best practices. Your entries begin at the top left of the page. So start here, and you're going to move left to right and top to bottom. Okay, try not to jump around on the page too much. You want to go in order, just standard reading type of thing. And if you have any extra space, put a line through it and then sign that line, saying that's basically verifying that this space was left intentionally blank for whatever reason. You wanted to move on to the next thing, or you knew you were, whatever reason you have, you're basically saying, nope, I left this page blank on purpose, this part of the page blank on purpose. Okay, you can see you're going to sign that. Okay, so that it's verified that you did that. Now here's a hard one to do, because we don't like to show mistakes. Okay, but engineering and problem solving is all about making mistakes and basically learning from those mistakes. So this is a tough one to do. Okay, at least get in the habit of it. But once you do, it's such a good habit to get into. When you make a mistake, don't try to erase it. Don't try to hide it. Okay, don't try to eliminate it from existence. It happened. You learned from it. Draw a line through it and be done with it. Okay, initial your change. So never ever erase or remove anything. So you can see here, they just had to make some changes. They realized that they were making whatever mistake, and they went back and they just corrected it. But they didn't erase it from existence. Mistakes happen. It's okay. You want to date each entry. Again, this is all about the documentation part of it. So you can see here, they have several entries and they just dated it. Here's a little pop out of that one. And you could just use the month and the day. That's fine. If you want to include the year, that's cool too. All right, but date everything. Again, it's a journal, it's a log. You're trying to keep track of everything that happened. Anytime you insert, now it's okay to insert things, but whenever you do, make sure you permanently attach it. So glue is preferred because it's a little bit more permanent than tape. Tape is fine too, but glue is preferred. Little tiny dots of glue. Make sure you don't have any loose leaf items. Nothing should fall out. Nothing should just be shoved in there and hope it stays. Make sure you attach things permanently. Okay. And when you do that, sign so that it basically, you want to sign so that it proves that you added this thing. So you're going to sign across both things, the thing you inserted and the page it's on. Okay, just like a little seal that can't be broken, or if it is broken, it'll be very obvious that something was there. Then at the bottom of the page, you're going to sign and date each page. Okay, again, it's just best practices. It's not something you don't do naturally necessarily, but it's a very good habit to get into with stuff like this. A colleague or a mentor, so a teammate or a teacher, should corroborate the events and make sure you sign it. That's as a witness. All right. Store your notebook in a safe location. Okay, wherever you're at. If it's on you, if you have it, make sure you keep that thing safe. Do not lose it. If it's in the classroom, we will have a place to store it that's safe. All right. Sketches, you're gonna be doing some drawing. Don't be afraid of that. And remember, you don't have to sketch directly in here. If you ever insert anything, just go back and insert it the correct way. So When you sketch though, anytime you sketch, whether you do it directly in a notebook or if you insert it later, label everything. Don't just draw it because I gotta draw something, or teacher said. No, you're trying to draw slowly. You might not be an artist. I'm not an artist, but draw slowly, draw carefully. Okay, label everything. Try to make everything communicate what you're trying to communicate. All right. Describe the sketch. That way you'll close any gaps in understanding what's going on here. So describe it. Label everything, describe it, go slow. Calculations, figures, anything like that should all be labeled very clearly. Okay. Have captions for anything. Here's a picture of a prototype wheel and axle subsystem for something that they're working on. That doesn't look like it, but here's some calculations. Here's the calculations that go on for the mechanical advantage. Okay. Label everything. Okay. Don't just leave things hanging out there. All right. Yeah. Okay. We got that. All right. When you reflect, you're going to record your reflections. Okay. What's your thoughts on this process? How's it going? What can be done? What needs to be done? Okay. Reflect on your accomplishments. Reflect on the successes and failures. We tried this and it didn't work. Tomorrow we're going to try this, and be detailed as you can. Okay. So it's very important that you do add some personal thoughts and reflections, because it really does show. It's going to help you in the future to go back and see what you thought, maybe even yesterday or last week or whatever. Okay. Last year, last decade. Okay. Maybe some historian will be looking back at your work and they'll know what you thought. Okay. And that's happened. It happens all the time. So to summarize, be neat, be accurate, be legible, and be thorough. Okay. Neat, accurate, legible, and thorough. Those are very important, just general principles for your engineering notebook. Okay. Neat, accurate, legible, thorough. So some examples, as I said, this happens all the time. Very important. Be useful, make it useful. Okay. So Earl Silas Tupper's sketch. Okay. He had a whole bunch of inventions. You may have heard of Tupperware. That's it. And all this was documented. Everett Huckle Bickley, looks pretty familiar. Looks like something that I might see you guys do. Something you might do. Looks exactly like I just described. Okay. Lots of inventions. Okay. Bean sorting machine. Doesn't sound very sexy or anything like that, but most inventions you might not even know, are aware they exist, but they may change your life. All right, that's kind of a good sign, actually. The racket. I mean, just another example. Howard Head's design for an oversized tennis racket. So, last little note: the course binder. I'm not going to require this at all. But it's something that you might want to consider getting, especially if I give you a lot of assignments and paper, you print stuff out or whatever. Just some place to keep your stuff. Keep your stuff that doesn't go in there in the engineering notebook, because you don't want to use your engineering notebook as a binder. Okay, so if you find that you need a place for papers, maybe you get a binder for this. All right. So some references. So that's basically it. I hope that helps. Have a good day.